everybody, welcome outside the UPMC Rooney Sports Complex. I'm Missi with Craig Wolfley. OTAs are completely done. Minicamp will pick up next week. 10 practices in all. Football in shorts, as our friends Labs and Pursuta like to say, but I bet you were following around the offensive line this week and the past few weeks.
You better believe it, Missy. I mean, how could you not? I mean, when you've got a trio of smash, bash, and crash, that being Zach and Troy and who am I miss, Mason. Those three guys alone, they make it exciting to see what the offensive line's capable of doing. Under an Arthur Smith offense, which is going to be heavy jumbo, multiple tight end, fullback, more under center, all these things, there's a lot of things that you look at and go, I like what these young guys are doing already.
In terms of mixing that group in with the vets, the guys who have been here, even the Broderick Jones who are just going into year 2, what are you seeing in terms of building chemistry and maybe sorting out where we could see guys come September?
Well, nothing's really going to be sorted out until they get some pads on, because that's what separates the alphas and the betas. You've got to understand that where your position are. Right now, it's about learning, getting comfortable in the learning process. And what I like is you see a guy like James Daniels stepping up, talking to a young buck after one of the pass protection drills, giving him some keys. That's how it's done. It's the mentorship that exists, that culture in the locker room. You pass it forward each and every year, each and every generation, and that's what it's about if you have a winning culture, football. But in getting back to it, there's, the offensive line is just something that it looks good until you got to get, it's all about getting the pads on, and you get that done, and we'll see what happens then.
When getting a chance to see the 3 rookies in practice, in person, is there anything that surprised you or maybe confirmed what you had thought coming into seeing them?
Well, it's so amazing because I see a young Zach Frazier and I watch this kid, and he's got, I can tell right now, he's got that goofy wrestler strength. I mean, this is a guy that's capable of putting some real horsepower, torque into any posture and position he gets into, because that's what wrestlers do. I mean, they go at it and they're in all these compromising, who's got more leverage and so forth. And you can see it exists in this young man. And he's very thick and strong. Also, he punches very well for a center. But when you watch him punch, he doesn't throw punches like a lot of guys. They'll try to bench press in a punch. He snaps off the punch like a boxer, which is very impressive at this young age. It's about muscle relaxation prior to sending the nerve signals off to punch the thing. And he's got it. Now, Troy's another guy that I really enjoy watching because his footwork is really good. I keep saying, I could see that guy playing guard someday, because I'm telling you, he moves like a guard. He's just athletic like a guard. And then Mason's just one of those maulers. So the 3 of them all together, I think, are really going to bring a lot of juice to the offensive line.
All right, since the season ended and the last time we had a chance to speak, the quarterback room has completely changed. What are you seeing from those 2 guys? Where there's 4 new guys, really, but as they're getting comfortable in learning an Arthur Smith offense?
Well, one of the things that stood out to me, first of all, was watching Russ, okay? They say danger Russ. Well, I can understand that. I just watched him snap off a 50-yard run the other day, skedaddled up the sidelines. So, what I look at is I go, I like that. He was running on the sidelines. Young bucks were trying to close on him, and they could not close the gap on him. The other thing about it is this. When you got a quarterback, and I went back last year in Denver, he rushed for 38 first downs, mostly off of what I understand, scrambles and so forth. Well, Kenny only had 12 of those, and that gives the guys up front that added ability, that those defensive linemen, they got to lower those ears a little bit. They've got to pay attention to the quarterback because he can snap off a run at any given time. I like it. Russ can still run. Justin Fields can run. He's got quite the arm. He's got a gun. And, those 2 guys right there are going to be something that's exciting to watch.
All right, 2 camps to talk about. We'll start with Captain Cam Hayward. Came back during OTA, said he'll be here next week for minicamp as well. How good is it to see him on the field mingling, especially with those younger guys? Some of them have never had a chance to meet him yet.
You know what I love, Missy? The Lion King is in the house. That's right, okay? He is the Lion King. When he's here, you watch the guys around him. They just kind of move around with him. I mean, he's got that special added extra something that just sets him apart. And it's a little rarefied air, but you watch him operate and the other guys watch him operate, and then they try to emulate what he does. It's all good stuff because his presence alone is upgrading what's going on out here.
And Cam Sutton returning to Pittsburgh, signed with the Steelers earlier this week. Somebody who can maybe help in that secondary where they're figuring out the different pieces and where guys are going to go.
There's no question about it. I'm so happy to see Cam Sutton. He's going to come in, provide some real stability. He's going to be able to be a plug-and-play guy wherever they need to. It's going to give some of the young guys some room to make mistakes and grow, because he's going to be another set of eyes that is going to be able to benefit these guys, these young guys that you need to see come up and grow. And a guy like Joey Porter can still learn a lot from a guy like Cam Sutton.
All right, give us a name of somebody who's impressed you and you can't wait to see next week in mini camp and then in training camp.
Oh man, you know it. I mean, Nathan Meters. Dadgummit, we were sitting here practicing and I couldn't get it. But Meters is a guy that I'm really anxious to see again. He's had an excellent week of practice. He's been in the league, I think it was 2019, I think, out of UCLA, been with a couple of teams. But he has had an excellent week thus far in the secondary. He's made a couple of splash plays. And you know what? It kind of reminds me a little bit of Mike Hilton. Mike Hilton would, and back in the day, he stood out on these very fields in the offseason, in the OTAs, and started to make plays here and there. And you started noticing him. And this guy, Meters, is a guy that you got to keep your eye on.
All right.
And make sure you pronounce it correctly.
We'll look forward to that next week. As we said, mini camp will conclude next week. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday we'll have complete coverage for you. Have a great weekend, everybody, and thanks for joining us.